I, 26M, have 3 kids under 5, 4F and 2M, with a 4th kid on its way. Before we had kids, my wife and I had lots of ideas about the parents we were going to be, and we had lots of scorn for people who parented in ways we disagreed with, but, as any parent knows, actually raising kids is hard work and you will break your values. My brother, 22M, is doing a psychology degree, with a few modules on child psychology and development. He regularly tells me that he thinks iPad kids are spoiled brats who will struggle developmentally, and they are the spawn of lazy, negligent parents. I wouldn't say my kids are iPad kids, but they do have an iPad between the 3 of them and more screen time that I would ideally like, but sometimes themes the breaks. My brother also disapproves of the fact we give our kids sweets as bribes, occasionally, and have lied to our kids. Every time he tells me his views on parenting, I just laugh and tell him to try being a parent, then I'll take his advice. Recently, due to an emergency, my wife and I needed a babysitter for a whole day, so I called my brother because, despite his judgment, he is actually very good with our kids. When we got home in the evening, the kids were in bed having had dinner, and we thanked him profusely. He very earnestly told us that, now he had experienced being a parent, he realized that not letting your kids use screens was very easy, and they hadn't watched TV or used their iPad in the 12 hours he'd been there. He also said he'd calmed their fears, they had been aware of the emergency a little bit, read to them, not had to bribe them to do anything with sweets, and he dealt with very calm, relaxed children, as opposed to the brats they normally are when they're with me, his words. He gave us a 20-minute lecture about our bad parenting, and now that he was in a position to give advice, he was going to give it. We'd been planning on giving him £200 to thank him for doing this for us short notice and looking after the kids for so long, but we sent him on his way without any pay. The next day I called him up to tell him I thought his behavior was incredibly inappropriate, that I appreciated him looking after the kids, but it was better he didn't see them for a while, and that him springing that all on us, especially after a day of stress, showed how immature he really was. I told him that he actually didn't know anything about parenting because he wasn't a parent. I can see I may have gone too far, but my mum called me up later to tell me my brother was crying and she called me a duckhead because he was just trying to help, and apparently I'm a bad parent for dealing with people's kindness so rudely. My brother and parents are pissed off at me and not talking to me. Comment 1. ESH. The way he spoke to you was unnecessary and inappropriate. But not having kids doesn't mean you don't know anything. And his base comments aren't wrong. Does it all work in the real world? Maybe, maybe not, that's where experience as a parent comes in. But bribery always ends poorly, and you even admit the screen time is too much. Plus, pay him or not, but the deciding factor shouldn't be his opinions. You were paying him for watching them, not for whether he mouthed off after. Comment 2. YTA. So you too, as in your wife and you, have a lot of scorn for people raising kids in a way you disagree with. But it's also okay if you make those decisions you judge others for, because poor little you, it's so hard, it's different when you do it. Meanwhile, you go off the handle and withhold money from someone criticizing you for those same parenting decisions, very fairly mind you, in a similar fashion. And after they did you a massive favor, too? You're hypocrites and the a-holes for sure. Comment 3. NTA. It's easy to look after kids for a day. But day in and day out, things change. And, as far as I know, kids will typically behave worse for their parents/carers etc. because they're their safety people. They know they can act out a bit if they're upset or angry, and their safety person will help them. My little one 7. Her grandparents will say what an angel she is. She listens, she does bedtime with no dramas etc., but at home it's a bit different. She isn't a bad kid, but she isn't a perfect angel like she is for them. I am 46F. My husband is not originally from my country. He came here with our daughter after his first wife died. She was 9 when we first meet. We are very close. She was a lovely child. She just turned 18 2 weeks ago. My in-laws came to visit us 2 weeks ago. I noticed something was off when they started talking about her now being ready for married. They said it in jokingly way at first, like they were testing her reaction. She just laughed it off. But they started hinting heavily that my daughter started getting uncomfortable. So I told them to stop. They didn't like that and told me she wasn't my daughter, and I got upset and told them if they don't stop they can leave. I told my husband and he backed me up and told them enough of that. They ended up arguing and saying they want to take my daughter back to their country to marry a man who looking for wife in his late 30s. They told me I was being disrespectful to their culture and I need to understand. My daughter was shocked and said she will not go back and marry a man that old. They told her she's grown up spoiled. I threatened to call the police and my husband said he will deal with it. He left with his parents. When he came back he was quiet. I asked what happened and he said he had sorted out. Me and my daughter started getting threatening calls from unknown numbers. We told my husband and he got us to change numbers, and we also had to shut down our SM. Then my daughter said she felt like a man from her culture was watching her while she worked. We told my husband and he went to where she worked, but he didn't appear again. Then 2 days ago my husband came home looking stressed and sat my daughter down and said maybe she could consider the marriage. She got rightfully upset and I got angry and packed my bag and told my daughter to as well. We are now staying at my cousin's house and we feel safer now than at home. My husband been ringing and texting and asking where are we? But I won't tell him. He said I can't keep his daughter from him. I do miss my husband and he's saying to come home, but I refused and my daughter feels the same. I just feel confused and hurt. Comment 1. NTA. Your SD is 18, she is an adult. Please keep her hidden, she is not safe to return to your home with your husband and he can't force her back. Do you have family that live far away from you that she can go live with? Because sad as it sounds, you can't even trust your husband to protect his own daughter now. Make sure you have her passport. Comment 2. She's 18 now, so legally he doesn't have a foot to stand on. If she wants to go no contact for her protection, she absolutely should. I'm sorry you both are having to go to such lengths for her safety, but you are amazing for fighting so hard for her and her autonomy. You're definitely NTAOP, you're a hero emo. It sounds like they are trying to abduct her at this point and that's terrifying. Comment 3. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions. She decided she doesn't want to marry this man and that she'd rather be somewhere she feels safe with you. If your husband wants to see her, then he needs to put a stop to what his parents are doing. In cultures that do these marriages, it is often hard to stand up to your parents. I think we all understand that. But when it comes to your child's well-being, it's time to get out of your comfort zone and just do it without eventually caving in, like he did. NTA. Keep standing up for her. She needs it right now. I have a stepsister, Ellie, who is the same age as me. Ellie has a brother, Seb, who is 2 years older than us. Our parents, my dad, their mom, got married 3 years ago. Seb has 30-70 time at his mom's, while I have 70-30 at my mom's. Ellie has 90-10ths at her mom's. Seb and I are close, but Ellie isn't close to either of us. Pretty much the only reason I go to my dad's as often as I do is because Seb is there. But it's become really miserable to go there because of Ellie. She's incredibly self-centered, obnoxious, jealous, and just exhausting to be around because she is a professional victim. Ellie is bullied in school and apparently has been for her whole life, so doesn't have any of her own friends. Because of this, her mom always forces Seb and me to take her everywhere with us, and it's really difficult for us to just hang out in a room without her. Ellie actively participates in this by tattling on us and demanding her mom tell us to include her. When Seb isn't there, it's not as bad because my dad won't force me to do anything, but since he's not Seb and Ellie's parent, he doesn't intervene. 4 days ago I was at my dad's and I mentioned to my dad that I had been invited to go with Seb and his dad to a sporting event in July. Ellie overheard this, I didn't know she was home, and went to tattle to her mom, who came down and interrogated me. I only answered when the event was because beyond that she should be talking to her ex, and my dad said as much. Ellie said it wasn't fair that Seb was taking me and not her, and her mom agreed and said she would fix it, and Ellie had this smug smile on her face, which was the last straw. I said she is a cruel person for ruining this and for never wanting anyone to be happy except herself. I also said that I have no idea what enjoyment she gets from forcing her presence on people because it doesn't make anyone like her, and if it's just fun for her to make me and her brother miserable, then that should embarrass her. Then I told my dad he's being a crappy dad for not standing up for me more, and I went back to my mom's. Apparently things devolved into Caplet's chaos after I left. Ellie cried for hours and according to my dad won't speak to anyone now and has taken 2 days off school. Her mom is livid with me, and her ex for letting Seb invite me on the trip, and Seb for inviting me. Also now neither I or Seb really want to go over there because it's a shit show, so that's caused issues between all the parents. My dad is saying this is my fault for saying all that to Ellie and that I need to apologize. I don't think I do, because honestly I think someone else in Ellie's life should have said that to her earlier. Maybe I was harsh about it, but it's something she needs to think about. Even my mom is saying I overdid it and should have let the parents handle it. Comment 1. NTA. Most of kids have at least one friend. It is very odd that she doesn't have anyone. To me it sounds like she enjoys making you feel miserable. You didn't do anything wrong. You only spoke as your father and her mother have failed to talk to her. I wouldn't go back there if I were you. It tells a lot that neither of you want to go there. But keep seeing Seb. Comment 2. NTA, but the adults are. My kids are probably around your age, and we have blended families. You can't force relationships. Trying to do so just makes it worse. You didn't choose any of this, and it's wonderful that you have a bond with your stepbrother. Your dad should be sticking up for you, and the stepmother needs to mind her own home. An outing that has nothing to do with her doesn't require her involvement. They're enabling this entitled behavior and are to blame for the situation. Comment 3. NTA, next time your dad blames you for Ellie being sad, just say this: I am not at fault here. I have made this clear many times. I do not like hanging out with Ellie because she pushes too much and generally I am not close to her. This is not a new issue and is an ongoing one since Ellie has been introduced to us. You and Ellie's mom are at fault here for not drawing boundaries with her earlier in her life and not preventing this from becoming an issue. So no, I will not sit here and take blame how Ellie is being because it is not my fault. Nor will I apologize for something I am not at fault for. My brother and Sil say they caught me on the nanny cam not watching their child and working instead. I don't know who all they told this to, but it got back to me. What actually happened is, I was asked to babysit last minute and I said I had scheduled work meetings and deadlines, but since IWFH I could come over with my partner and take care of my niece. I offered for my partner to watch her with my supervision. B and Sil agreed to this and I sent several photo and video updates of niece having a lovely time playing with my partner, who is really wonderful with children and always so sweet to my niece. I was horrified that family, friends and who knows else was being told that I was not properly caring for my niece. I communicated my limitation in advance, but they completely left that detail out and made it seem like I blindsided them. I decided to let myself cool down from this frustrating circumstance and then sent a message to my B and Sil saying that I love my niece but I no longer feel comfortable caring for her on my own because of the way that things have been communicated and, in my opinion, seriously misconstrued. This meant I'm no longer on the list of people that can be called last minute to watch her or pick her up from school. B and Sil then started telling family members that I don't want a relationship with my niece and I'm taking out my anger on her. They also said that I am depriving her of a safe person to pick her up if something comes up. My parents talked to them and my brother then says that they also caught me yelling at my niece on the nanny cam. I know this is untrue because she is a perfect angel every time I watch her. She's truly the sweetest child. Never have I even had a reason to raise my voice at my niece. My parents were immediately suspicious of this accusation for the same reasons above and knowing how I am with children and my niece in particular. They asked if B and Sil had confronted me about this, to which they said no because I will just deny it. Parents then said, "What does a resolution look like to you, because we are not sure how to help without understanding what you want." B and Sil replied that they want an apology for me taking my name off of the list of people that could watch their child and to be available to watch her again. Comment 1. NTA, they sound super manipulative and controlling. Don't even bother with people who make shit up. Also, let anyone who repeats their accusations know that they want you to apologize for removing yourself from her school pickup and continue to watch niece. If you were so horrible, why are they still asking you to watch her? Also, I would communicate only via text with them from now on. Comment 2. NTA, and I would be sure to openly ask them how you can both be a safe person to be called at the last minute and the monster who yelled at her. You did them a favor and they dragged you for how you did it, after accepting that you said that you would be doing it in that very manner. Their method of accusing you of things mean that this is no longer a safe setup for you because you do not know what they will accuse you of next. So yeah, to boot, you have every right to protect yourself. And if that ducks for them, oh well, they put themselves in that position. Did your parents ask you what a resolution looks like to you? Comment 3. NTA. The sense of entitlement of these people demanding an apology because you exercised your right to not take care of the child in future. They're also trying to guilt trip you regarding depriving her of a safe person to pick her up from school. They've already made accusations against you, twice now. I think for your own peace of mind, the best thing to do is to not take care of her, so that they can't level any more accusations when they don't get their own way. If you did the things they accuse you of, such as not watching her, or shouting, then why would they be so angry at the prospect of you not taking care of her anymore? Why are they demanding that you do? They wouldn't want somebody who does these things to mind their child. They're telling on themselves.